day before yesterday we have discussed about how it is different from agile to DevOps. Means the comparison part we have discussed. How is it? Means what differences you will be finding and all is what we have discussed in the earlier sessions. Now, when it comes to the steps and as well as the stages of DevOps environment itself is concerned, the stages are as follows. This is what we were discussing yesterday. Let me explain you that again to you from the beginning. So the first phase and first step of DevOps will be planning, because as whatever the process of software development lifecycle we do or we follow, the same process will be taken care of here itself. Like task management, schedules and all, everything will be done by the, usually task management, schedule management will be looking after by the project management team. I'm calling it as PMO, right? Not by the individual, by a group of people I'm saying this. Whereas in reference to the DevOps environment itself is concerned, planning phase or planning of the tasks, whatever the schedules are we planning, right? So based upon that, how work has to be allotted. That is what हम बोलते हैं WBS, stands for work breakdown structure. Means how you are breaking down the structure of the work, on what basis this is being allotted. For example, if you take agile environment, this is also work breakdown structure. In agile also, whatever the thing we are doing is, but it's not something as what we see. Work breakdown structure is not something what we see. There it is completely, the structure and scenario will be entirely different. Means there will be different sprints will be there, right? So for example, user stories will be there. User stories will be divided into tasks. This is how generally the terminologies and as well as the jargons we use in agile. And that too for a very limited time, because every time we do that, right? Because every sprint we do. But whereas in traditional model, in reference to the schedules and work breakdown structure itself is concerned, this work breakdown structure is now everything is a continuous process. Means once the work breakdown structure was done for the whole project, that will be continued for the whole thing. But whereas in traditional model, if you see, but whereas in agile model, if you see, whatever the work allotments are we doing and all, everything is confined to the particular sprint. Again, whenever we are going for the second sprint, again the same process we are following, like sprint planning, right? So how to understand the sprint goal, right? So again, there is a different structure. We separate same structure for different sprints we follow. But whereas when it comes to the schedule management and work breakdown levels and all, in traditional way of approach, it will be done once per all, right? So we don't do for every time, right? We don't do for every time. The same process will also be taken care of in the DevOps environment, because here there are two differences again. DevOps implementation along with agile is one category. DevOps implementation without agile, listen carefully, there are two different things. Agile implementation of the project where you are involving DevOps into that, this is one category. Traditional way of application development, you are following DevOps practices. Okay, two different categories you need to understand. First category is the traditional way of approach, DevOps environment. So in this traditional way of approach, whatever the structure of application development, whatever the process of life cycle management we follow, remains constant on its size. Only it comes to the implementation part, implementation and operations and all, those two things will be on a single platform. This is what generally you see in the traditional way of approach. Means whatever the amount of work we are doing and all, everything, that coordination and all, everything will be on the same platform. And same people are working, because there is no separate person for developer as separate. You don't see any person as testing as separate, something of that sort, right? Who are working under DevOps environment must be capable enough to handle whatever the activities they are having, but make sure they must be having the technical idea. What is the technical idea? They must be knowing about Jenkins, right? Jenkins for integration purpose ke liye we are using Jenkins. Maybe Kubernetes we are using, maybe Ansible we are using, right? So these maybe Slack integration we may be using. So different tools is what in DevOps you see. But whereas in agile environment, even though you are involving, if you are a team member, you are involving in multitasking, you don't require any kind of tools as separate. There is no tool as separate like something like Jenkins and all that. But whereas when it comes to the agile environment, in addition to the multitasking ability what the team is having within the stipulated time to be completed with, they must be adjusted and they must be knowing about the tools also. In single line of answer is that if you are involved, if you are inviting or if you are involving DevOps environment, either in a way of traditional model or in agile model, if you are a person who is under the DevOps environment, you must be having an idea about the tools operation. That is what the difference you see from the both ends. Otherwise, the process remains same and constant all the time. So coming back again to that. So this is where generally this task management schedules and all everything will be done in
Hello.